Hello and welcome back to the VAVEL YouTube channel. Once again, we are joined by Ed Hague-Saunders following Wolverhampton Wanderers' fantastic 1-0 victory over Leeds United. And we're going to go straight into it. Thank you once again for joining me, Ed.
No worries.
First of all, what are your thoughts on that one? A fantastic win, 10 points from 12, unbeaten in 4 now, I believe. It looked like a nervy couple of weeks after, a few games ago, not winning an 8. I know we brought it up a few times, but and Nuno's job looked under scrutiny. Now he's looking on the other side of it and starting to look arguably flying now.
Yeah, we're starting to look up the table rather than down. Now, I think that's the main point. I think these past 4 games have not only been a turning point for the season, but a turning point for the players at the club. I think confidence was, as everyone on this channel said, confidence is very low, and we needed some results to turn it around. And thankfully, we've got some results. And I think again today was another solid defensive performance. I know we were a bit shaky from set pieces, which is something that we will have to try and touch up on. But apart from that, I thought we were solid defensively. Obviously, Bamford had his goal ruled out, but that was offside, and I think it was close, but it was offside. But apart from that, I think another clean sheet, another 3 points in the bag, and no matter how they come, they're a win's a win at the end of the day. And whether it's hit off the back of Messier or Adama stuck that in the top corner, it's 3 points, and we keep going on, and we keep getting more points, which is good.
What kind of statement does this show, would you say? Because coming into this game, after speaking on the podcast to you and the other Wolves VAVEL writer, James Wynn, it was fair to say that I won't call you nervous, but a little bit doubtful, because Leeds are so unpredictable. You never know what kind of Leeds are going to turn up. But to get 3 points against a side that, like I've said in one of my pre-match analysis for Wolves VAVEL, they've won 6 of the last 7 games that are not in London. Before this one, they last lost away from home, like I say, not in London, to Manchester United. Obviously, it's a completely different game, this one, but that must show a bit of a statement in itself. Like Leeds went to Leicester the other week and played them off the park and won 3-1, and Wolves have actually turned up today. And what kind of message can this show from a mentality point of view for going on for, the last section of the season?
I completely agree with you. I think it sends out a very positive message mentally for Wolves. I think that shows something that Nuno's always tried to develop. I think at Wolves is a strong mentality, and I think we've shown that here. I said a few weeks ago, this is the first tough spell that Nuno has really had at the club, and it's about how he and the team come through it, and I think they've come through it very well. And this is the form that we showed last season, 10 points from 12, as you said earlier. It's the form that we showed in previous seasons. And yeah, mentally it shows that we are strong and we are willing to fight. I think maybe against West Brom was the only one that I could see that I could pick out that potentially the players didn't fight as hard as they should have done. But apart from that, I think we showed that we can fight and we can produce a performance when we need to. And if you look at the teams that we've played in the last 4, they're not easy teams at all. We've played Arsenal, Leicester, Southampton, who were flying at the start of the season. I know they sort of fallen off a little bit, but Southampton was flying at the start of the season. And then Leeds, who are unpredictable. So they're 4 tough teams and they're 4 very good results. And hopefully, as you can say, we can build on this now for the future, for the final third of the season. And hopefully we can kick on. And Europe, those top 6 or 7 are quite still far away, but you never know. Stranger things have happened in football. If we keep going like this and can put a run together, who knows?
It's a little bit of an interesting one in terms of, you mentioned our run there, and obviously we've done so well in obviously the Leicester, Southampton, who I know they've been on a little bit of a bad run recently, but they have had a good season, and Leeds tonight. And then it's just, we talk about an unpredictable season, one of the most unpredictable seasons in the Premier League that I've ever seen. And I remember speaking to you after the Crystal Palace game and saying, it's going to be a bit nervy now, to be honest with you, because we've got tough games coming up. And before the Palace game, we had an easy kind of run of games. Apart from Chelsea, we had West Brom, which obviously they lost to. We had Everton, who, they're unpredictable as well. We could have got a point out of that one.
Definitely.
And then Brighton as well, which the Wolves dropped points to. So it just shows, surely, that this season, Wolves, like a lot of the teams in this division, can pick up points anyway. You should never rule them off. You should never guarantee them for a win against the smaller teams, shown by them struggling against some of the teams towards the bottom, but never rule them out against, the teams going for it either.
I think you summed up what Wolves have been since returning to the Premier League perfectly there. I think ever since we come back to the Premier League, we've beaten the big teams who look to attack us, and we can hit them on the counter-attack and hurt them. Prime example of that is Manchester City, when we were 2-0 down and somehow we managed to win 3-2 and we hit them on the counter-attack perfectly. And then against the teams further down the table who aren't as expansive and who need points who are fighting for their lives and need points and aren't willing to maybe take a risk, we struggle to break them down. So as you said, I think you summed it up perfectly there. And I think that is something that will need to be looked at if we need to progress, if we want to progress as a club, as a whole going forward in the future seasons. But I think for now, this is a good result. The game against Southampton is a good result. A Southampton side that have conceded goals, and in the past, who knows, Wolves might have struggled against that and then gone and beaten a Manchester City. That's the unpredictability of Wolves. But I think to win that Southampton game, like we did in the second half, the tactics, the changes that Nuno's made has kick-started this Wolves side again, and it's great to see. We were firing today. We were very, very good today, I thought, going forward.
Over the past couple of weeks, I think it's fair to say that Wolves VAVEL writers, including me and you and others that have come onto the YouTube channel and the podcast, we've had a few debates about formation and system, whether we should, stick to 4 at the back more regularly, just stick with 3 at the back with what we know. And I think it's safe to say that going forward now, especially in games similar to these ones against, the teams that maybe you're not expected to pick results up, 3 at the back is the way going forward, and Nuno should be trusted within that and not be doubted for it, surely.
No, I 100% agree with you that 3 at the back is the way to go. I think, as I said, the changes that were made in the Southampton game for the second half have worked really, really well. I think today we saw the Neto and Traore, the 2 wingers, they were slightly more inverted and slightly looked to play in the channels between the fullback and the centre-back, which not only helped them, it helped Willian Jose, who had more space because the centre-backs had to deal with Neto and Traore, but it also helped the wing-backs. I thought Johnny had a lot of space in the first half. I was watching the ball down here and I looked up and Johnny had the whole of the half to run into. And then Semedo, who I thought had a really, really good game today, another positive display from him. It helped them. So I think the changes that Nuno made at halftime in the Southampton game really, really have worked. And positive performance, which is what Nuno will say. It's the result is the result, but I think the performance is more important. The season that we're having, I think it's about performances. Obviously, we need results to keep the fans happy and to keep Nuno in the job, but I think it's more about performance. And these last couple of performances, bar the first half against Southampton, have been very impressive. And we look to have that defensive solidarity back. That's always been the Wolves thing, hard to beat and then hit you on the counter-attack. And that's sort of gone astray a little bit this season so far. And I don't know if that's because we didn't have a platform up top with Fabio Silva and the ball just kept coming back to put pressure on the defence. And now we do with Willian Jose. That might just be a coincidence. It might not be. But we look to be slowly but surely getting back to where we were last season, which is very, very positive.
And 2 clean sheets in the last 3. You made an interesting point about the defensive shape and the defensive display today, and something that we've been saying. I remember talking to you about going back into the Chelsea game and doing a little bit for Wolves VAVEL. I think that was like our second, or you might even been our first clean sheet in 15 games, and now we've got 2 and 3, and obviously, like I say, we're unbeaten in the last 4, and we've spoken before about defensive mistakes have cost us, and we've cut them out, and we're starting to get results.
Yeah, exactly. I think it could come down to confidence. It could, a lot of things in football only take one performance, one goal, one assist, one moment of magic, and it could spark the confidence back. So it might be that win against Arsenal or that clean sheet against Leicester, which we had to fight really hard for. But yeah, I think confidence in that back three now is sky high. I think Dendonk had a much better game today. I think against Palace, we singled him out at Wolves VAVEL for having a poor performance and leading to the goal, an error leading to the goal. But as you say, he's developed and become a lot stronger and a lot more calmer, I think. And I think that's just the whole thing with that back three is just calmness, just that bit of composure, that bit of confidence to just take a minute, pick a pass. And I thought we defended well today. I think the Bamford's goal, which was ruled out, I think we're a bit open there, but Cody stepped up well. But yeah, as I say, I think the confidence is back for that back three, which is a good thing, and hopefully we can build on this performance again and keep going forward and get more results under our name.
And before I just quickly touch on the Newcastle next weekend and 3 away games in a row, which we will go on to in a second, what individual performances stood out for you today, especially in the first half? We've mentioned Neto on a number of occasions, but he looked so confident for a 20-year-old. He was running it, the defence, striking the ball. He just looked to take it all in his stride, and it was like one of those moments where you were just thinking, he knows he's good. He knows the quality he has. And if he keeps going like this, like the sky's his limit, kind of feelings was what I was getting. But what other players stood out for you, was it, or was it just an overall solid team performance?
I think, as you say, Neto was brilliant. I think the fact that his mum's told him to shoot more and then he comes out in the first half and has 6 shots and gets 5 of them on target, I think that just shows the type of player that he is. He's willing to sort of experiment and take a risk. But I think at the same time, Nelson Semedo had a very good game, in my opinion. I thought going forward, he was very good. I know a lot of Wolves fans have sort of said their opinion on him since coming to the club, since signing from Barcelona. But I think he's started to turn a corner. I think he started to slowly but surely adjust to English football and become the player that we knew he was. He had in him, but he just never really reached those heights at Barcelona and didn't really do it for Wolves in the first half of the season. But now in the first half, especially, he had a couple of shots, which, yeah, he could have scored, but he was in those positions. And I think that's one of the main things we've been missing since selling Matt Doherty is a fullback getting in those positions, because Doc would pop up in that position or in the inside channel, underlapping Traore, and come up with a couple of goals. And that's something that we have been really missing. And I think Semedo showed that he has that ability to do that today. Yes, he didn't have the finish, but that will come with time. But at least he's getting in those positions. And I thought defensively, he looked a lot sounder. I think there was one moment in the second half, which I picked up on. Jack Harrison was running in behind and Semedo tracked him and beat him for pace. Harrison didn't have the ball, but Semedo tracked his run and beat him for pace and got back into position, which is something that he wasn't doing. If you look at the goal we conceded against Southampton earlier in the season at home, Semedo's positioning was, I think my grandma could have been better positioned than Semedo, because his positioning was terrible for that goal. But now he's learning, he's picking up the runs, and he's trying hard to track back. So Semedo really, really stood out to me today, which is very promising, because he's been, along with a lot of other Wolves fans, have singled him out as the weak link in that back five, and he was so much better today, which is so positive.
Just going on to Semedo for a second, obviously, you mentioned now that it's took him a little bit of time to get into it. Is that like a message in itself, with him improving now, to Wolves fans to maybe give some of the other, as proof to give maybe some of the other younger players who haven't really had the chance yet, if you like, but to give them the opportunity, to give them time to settle into English football? Like, I'm talking about the likes of Vitinha and Silva. I have to say, did look bright when he came on. Obviously, we were defending a lot, but he looked a threat. I know he had that decent chance as well, and I can't actually blame him for that. I don't think it was a bad effort whatsoever. Is the example of Nelson Semedo, though I know he had a lot more weight on his shoulders with the price tag as well, but is that an example to maybe the younger Portuguese lads as well?
I think definitely. I think if you look at everyone in professional football knows that it's hard to adapt to the Premier League. The Premier League is the best league in the world just because of its intensity, and you have to almost step your intensity up when you're as a footballer playing in the Premier League because you don't have that much time. And I think Semedo was caught out with that, and I think it does send a message to the younger players that Nuno will trust you, and I think he's trusted Fabio Silva, whether he was forced into it or not, but he still trusted Fabio Silva. And as you said, he's come on, looked better, had a good strike towards the end, which was blocked, but he hit it well and he was getting in the positions. I think it does take players a long time to settle into this Wolves side. We saw it with Dendoncker when he arrived a few seasons ago. We signed him in the summer and he didn't play until January. And everyone around the club was like, where's Dendoncker? Why is he not playing? We know he's got so much talent. And it was just, he took time to adjust. He took time to adapt to not just English football, but to Nuno's system as well. And I think that's what we're seeing now with Semedo, adapt into English football and adapt into Wolverhampton Wanderers' system. And it does, I think a lot of criticism has come towards Ryan Aït-Nouri for his poor performances. I think he'll take time. He's still young. He'll get better. Coutinho will get better. And I've no doubt Fabio Silva will get 10 times better as well because he's so talented. And I think, your point is 100% correct. Time, and just adjustments, and players will thrive.
And just finally, before we finish, the next week could prove to be vital. We've got now just over a week off of training and hard work before our next fixture. And it has to be said, we've got some tough fixtures coming on. And it could outline our season, to be honest with you, whether we make a late push for Europe or settle for a mid-table finish. Because, yes, we've got Newcastle next weekend, who have been struggling. But going to there is not going to be any easy task at all when they'll be looking to pick up points. Going to a Man City side who I believe have won 17 games in a row now and are looking more formidable than they've ever looked. And then Villa have been absolutely brilliant this season, absolute change team, the additions that they've brought in. And even without Jack Grealish, they do always look a threat. So how do you envisage the next week and a half, 2 weeks going for Wolves? How big is it? Because it could be season defining.
I was about to. You stole the words right out of my mouth. It's a season-defining couple of weeks. It's a season-defining March, I believe. City, Villa, and then Liverpool. If we can come away with 4 points from that, maybe 6, that would be a very good March. And I think if we can have positive results against those, the confidence will be sky high. There's no reason we can't have good results against those, by the way, because we've done it at Arsenal. We've done it at Leicester. When we're on it, we're a very, very good side. But it's if we can come through that March and we can pick up good points, and we don't get beaten in all 3 games. We beat Villa. We take something off Liverpool, and we try and take the game to City and have a good performance there. I think we can still get into that top half of the table 100%. We can potentially get into the top 8. It's not far away. I think a couple of games ago, we were 12 points off Europe and 12 points off relegation. Look at that now. We're not that far away. We're still
3 points off 8th at the moment, and Aston Villa are occupying that. Yeah, they do have games in hand. Of course, you've got to take that into consideration. But looking at we've said unpredictable. I've just been having a quick look at the fixtures. If we can get through these next 3 to 5 games, we've got quite an all right run in. So if we can put in a few defensive displays, after that, we've got Fulham, Sheffield United, Burnley, and West Brom, all who are relegation candidates, heavy relegation candidates. So if we can get a couple of decent performances, maybe not wins, but maybe a couple of decent results, even in the City and Liverpool games, if we lose, we put in a respectable performance, that will give us confidence going into Fulham, Sheffield United, Burnley, and West Brom games that you've got to be looking at getting 9-10 points from minimum.
100%. And then we got Brighton after that, and then we got the last 3 games of the season, which are quite tough. But as you say, I think with this Wolves side, it's all about confidence. If we go to City, take the game to them, have a good performance, beat Villa or perform well against Villa and get a point, and then do the same against Liverpool, who who knows what Liverpool could be? They could continue their downfall. They could have a resurgence. So who knows what that Liverpool game will be like? But if we can have a good performance, as you say, in all three of those games, keep the confidence, and then we can really look to cash in against those sides who are struggling. They'll be fighting for their lives. We all know they will. But we've proven here against this Leeds side that we have the quality to beat teams. Against Leeds and Southampton, who, yes, they didn't look to sit in and park the bus, but they were a little less expansive than other sides, say your Cities or your Liverpools. We've shown that we can beat those. So I think the future's looking bright for Wolves. As you say, that March it's either come at a very good time or a very bad time. It could either build our season or break our season. And I think it's about temperament, it's about confidence, it's about composure for these Wolves players to get through that March period, whatever the results. If we lose all three of those games, it's about coming through that March period and moving on from it. If we win all three of those games, mate, we're back in the hot
good position, very good position if we win all three.
Yeah, so I think this March, as you say, is very important. But I think we've got to focus on the Newcastle game because that'll be a tough game. They'll be fighting for everything. And if we can go there, beat them by a couple of goals, all will be looking rosy again.
I think that's a very good way to end a very positive post-match reaction. Thank you for joining us, Ed. We've got very happy Wolves VAVEL writer. I think it's fair to say 4 unbeaten now, 1-0 win over Leeds United. Thank you for listening to the post-match reaction with myself, Ben Durber, and Ed Hague-Saunders on the Wolves VAVEL channel. We will be back very, very shortly. We're going to do a preview next weekend of the Newcastle Wolves game, a couple of days before that. But until then, I hope you all keep well and see you soon.